Tonight on the Black Channel. The Pepto is on deck because this is gonna be a rough one. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, man, I'm telling you, yeah, it must be election season, because here comes the foolery and chicanery, coonery and buffoonery. And where, oh, where in the world should I start? There's been so much of it lately here. I'm having a hard time keeping up with it is part of the problem. There's been so much of it happening here lately. But in any case, right now, story here that, like I said, I'm trying not to jumble too many things together because I want to keep my thoughts, I want to keep the things I focus on here in perspective. But for those of you who may have heard here, there was an interview by Tim Scott, Republican, one of these black Republicans. And he thinks he's running for president. He's really not. He thinks he is, but he isn't. Goodness gracious, boy, I'm telling you, open mouth, insert foot, chew vigorously. That was basically his strategy. Open mouth, insert foot, chew vigorously. And that was bad enough. That was bad enough when your black conservative Republican says what he says, but then out of the clown car, here comes Barack Obama. I guess he decided this is my moment. We shall redeem ourselves. So, I mean, it just basically goes from bad to worse is what it does. It basically does that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play for you here from CNN, because they were talking about what Tim Scott said and then they talked about what Obama said. And I'm just like, okay, it's just because life can't get any sillier is basically what we're dealing with here. So life just can't get more silly than it is. So strap in, hang on tight. You're going to get it from all sides.
Barack Obama taking on Republican presidential candidates for trying to downplay racial inequality in the United States. The former president calling on Republicans to present, quote, an honest accounting of our past and our present.
If somebody's not proposing, not both acknowledging and proposing elements that say, no, we can't just ignore all that and pretend as if everything's equal and fair. We actually have to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. If they're not doing that, then I think people are rightly skeptical.
If somebody is not proposing, both acknowledging and proposing elements that say, no, we can't just ignore all that and pretend as if everything's equal and unfair. Excuse me? Wasn't that what you did for 8 years? Shucking and jiving, dancing to Dougie, singing Al Green? Wasn't that what you did for 8 years? That was your presidency, as I recall. That was the entirety of your presidency, as I remember it. And I remember it quite well. So, boy, he jumped out of the woodwork. Don't have him on video now. So, as you can see, he's slithering out. He's slithering out of the woodwork now. And this is what he has to say. So he figures this will be low-hanging fruit. Well, don't worry. Black folk will focus on Tim Scott. But you know what? You and him both look like twins, so far as I'm concerned. So you talking real strange and real funny style. When you were leaving office, why, we could never do anything about racism. It's just there. He sat there and talked to Ta-Nehisi Coates and talked about what we couldn't do. Remember? We covered that here. He talked about what couldn't be done. Now, all of a sudden, with Tim Scott, well, if you're not acknowledging and proposing elements, and really, because that was all you did.
All that and pretend as if everything's equal and fair. We actually have to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. If they're not doing that, then I think people are rightly skeptical. There may come a time where there's somebody in the Republican Party that is more serious about actually addressing some of the deep inequality that still exists in our society that tracks race and is a consequence of our racial history. And if that happens, I think that would be fantastic. I haven't yet seen it.
You know what? It'd be nice if there was somebody in the Democrat Party. It'd be nice if there ever came a time where there was somebody in the Democratic Party that was more serious about actually addressing some of the deep inequality that exists in our society and that tracks race. It'd be nice if there were some Democrats to do that. You can actually respect Tim Scott a little bit more because he's just sitting there chewing on his chicken wing talking about ain't no racism. I ain't gonna do nothing about it because ain't no racism. Here comes Obama. Oh, there's plenty of racism. Oh, well, great. What are you going to do about it? Chew this chicken wing. So, boy, only Roland Martin would be smiling or dancing a jig if he heard this. Roland Martin would be the only person in the world stupid enough to hear this move. See, that's what it is right there. You tell him, Obama.
That tracks race and is a consequence of our racial history. And if that happens, I think that would be fantastic. I haven't yet seen it.
That was the former president responding in an interview with David Axelrod in the Axe Files to a question about comments Republican presidential candidate Senator Tim Scott has made a core part of his campaign. He said this on The View recently.
One of the reasons why I'm on the show is because of the comments that were made, frankly, on this show, that the only way for a young African-American kid to be successful in this country is to be the exception and not the rule. That is a dangerous, offensive, disgusting message to send to our young people today, that the only way to succeed is by being the exception. I will tell you that if my life is the exception, I can't imagine.
But it is.
But it's not, actually.
Basically, to make a long story short here, the reason why Republicans have never made any inroads among black people is because, quite frankly, there are not enough dunderheads, idiots, psychopaths, and delusional individuals to go along with it. This parallel fantasy universe that they keep trying to sell us ain't no racisms. Why, everybody got the same opportunities. And then they march out their one hand-picked Negro puppet and then say, see, look what we've done for him. And then as soon as he gets his ass kicked like Michael Steele did, then all of a sudden he's going to be the biggest, blackest thing in the room. Folks, I have been what many people would call a success in America. I am the exception. I am not the rule. You would be a psychopathic, illogical, irrational troglodyte to sit up here and ignore that. The experiences of the Oprah Winfreys and the Michael Jordans and the Michael Jacksons and the Jason Blacks, we are not the rule. We are the exception. And I had to overcome hell and high water to get to where I am. We are not the rule. We are the gross exceptions, which is exactly why we are fighting for what we're doing now. Because I don't want me that's just one off Tim Scott is the living proof that he is the exception. He's a one-off. You look at the United States Senate. Dude, you're the proof that you're a one-off. You're the proof that you are the exception. You don't pay no attention to that. I ain't no exception. Then you take a look at their numbers in the Senate. Well, I mean, because if he wasn't the exception, then you would have 13 black senators in the United States Senate to reflect the 13% of the population that black people constitute. And yet you don't. If Tim Scott was not the exception, if Tim Scott was the rule, then you'd have at least 13 black people in the U.S. Senate. But the fact that he got to scrape and kiss ass, because there are another thing that makes you an exception, Tim Suck Up Scott, is that, by the way, there are no white politicians who go around kissing black folks' asses. They don't sit up there and have to do that. They don't have to kowtow to us and deny mathematics and reality. There is no white equivalent of Tim Scott running around kissing black folks' asses. Dancing the Dougie and the Millie Rock. Wearing Chuck Taylors. Putting on a Black Panther outfit and raising the black fist. There is no white equivalent of that. There is no white equivalent. Running around where black folk are, fighting against white supremacy and yelling against. There is no equivalent. It's just little old Tim butt-kissing Scott all up there by himself. In the same position that they put him in, because that's where you gotta be. While he's denying reality and yet he's the only one there. You're an exception even among white ass kissers. Senator Scott, you are an exception even among the black ass kissers of white people. You're the only one there. They can't even get enough of you elected together to kiss both butt cheeks. It's just you. It's just him. He is literally the exception. There's not enough of you in the Senate to kiss both the white supremacists' butt cheeks at the same time. There's not even enough of you there to do that. It's just you. If you wanted to kiss both their ass cheeks at the same time, you had to call in some help. Come here, Kamala. I hear you're an expert at this. He'd have to call him back up. He'd have to hire a temp service and get another person in there. He couldn't even call all of them who were there while he's telling you that he's not the exception. Y'all thought I was joking tonight. No, I'm not.
I will tell you that if my life is the exception, I can't imagine.
But it is.
But it's not, actually.
All right, the conversation continued. So let's have it here now. Joe Pinion is a Republican strategist and the former U.S. Senate candidate from New York. Keisha Lance Bottoms is the former mayor of Atlanta and a former senior advisor to President Biden.
Yeah, if you ever wonder what happened to old Keisha, boy, is she got her hair all braided up? What you doing, Keisha? Oh, she's looking for a job in the private sector now. Oh, little old Keisha, the bottom B. She's looking for a job in the private sector. Do y'all think I can hire Keisha? How many of you all would like to see if I can hire Keisha as a guest host here on the Black Channel? Do you all think I can hire Keisha as a guest host on the Black Channel? Do you think I can get that done? Would you all like to see that? If it's possible, would you like to see me hire Keisha as a guest host here on the Black Channel? Because I hear her time is free now. I hear her schedule's freed up since they kicked her out of Washington. Do y'all think I can do that? Would y'all like to see that? If you all would like to see me hire Keisha Bottom B as a guest host here on the Black Channel, give me the thumbs up emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 2,600 people in here live right now. If you ain't feeling it, we'll just go ahead and wrap it up. But it's over 2,600 people in here live. If you want me to see if I can hire her as a guest host, give me the thumbs up in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. If y'all don't like the program, let me go ahead and wrap it up. They want me to talk about NBA stars and rappers. Yeah, the chat room says, Jason, if we can swing that, let's see if we can make that work. Y'all, wouldn't that be the craziest thing ever? Wouldn't that be the most watched program ever? Me and Keisha Bottoms. Man, look here. Critical mass. I'd do it. I'd do it in a heartbeat. I would do it in a heartbeat. I sure would. We can let T.I. referee.
Joe, you're here with me, so let me start with you. Just to put some numbers around this, Sonny Hostin, who was there with Senator Scott, responded with some numbers as well. But just take the median income for black households in America. These are the latest numbers from the Census Bureau. $48,000, just about. For white households, $74,000. Now, obviously, that's just one number, right? I'm not trying to answer everything with it. But while Senator Scott rightly celebrates his story, his background, are you comfortable saying that?
Okay, did you hear that there? She said, obviously, that's one number. That's not everything. Nonsense. That is everything. That number is the problem.
Just take the median income for black households in America. These are the latest numbers from the Census Bureau. $48,000, just about. For white households, $74,000. Now, obviously, that.
Yeah, that number is the problem.
That's just one number, right?
That's the only number that matters.
White households, $74,000. Now, obviously, that's just one number, right? I'm not trying to answer everything with it. But while Senator Scott rightly celebrates his story, his background, are you comfortable saying that yesterday's...
Folks, that number's the only damn one that matters. You know why? You know it's the only number that matters because it's the only number that has been consistent. The country, the nation was founded on that number. That no matter what is going on, white people are way out ahead of black folk, no matter how hard they work or how hard they don't. So before she glosses past that, ma'am, that's just one metric. That's the only one we need. We don't need to have a long drawn-out lecture. That number right there, there you go. That's the problem right there. You telling us that we can be the rule and not the exception, and we're the hardest working people in America, and that number hasn't caught up for us yet. So no, this isn't some figment of our imagination or some optical illusion. Yeah, that number right there, Aaron, yeah, that's the number right there. You hit it right on the head. You were doing good right then.
Exception is today's rule, or does the former president have a point?
Well, look, I think yesterday's exception is today's rule. The problem with that is that today's rule is still less than what people deserve, given the...
Who is the barber? I'm calling the sheriff's department and the FBI. I am demanding that whoever is the barber, whoever committed this act of terrorism, that they be put on an APB, America's Most Unwanted. All I want to know is, first of all, who is the barber? Where is he? What is he doing right now? Brother, did you pay for that haircut? Did you pay for that haircut? Did you actually spend money on that? I'm not trying to diss nobody. I'm just saying, do y'all think he actually compensated someone for this? Because, you know, it looks like Iron Man's helmet before the face mask comes down. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Bruh. It's like his face is peeking from behind his hair. You know, it's like his hair parted so his face could peek out. So, first of all, I'm just asking, who did this? Who did this and then sent you on national TV? Who did this? Somebody said fake Ray Lewis. Who was responsible for this? I ain't never seen a hairline that almost touched the edges of your eyebrows. I'm trying to figure out who did this. Y'all see that corner over there is damn near touching his eyebrows. Who did this? I have questions. I'm demanding answers.
founding documents of this nation. And so, yes, I think what we end up having is what I call a love language disconnect in our politics, which is that you have people saying the same thing differently. I think every Republican, including Senator Scott, would agree with the notion that there is generational neglect that occurs in minority communities. You look right here in New York City, $40 billion behind in public housing. You look right here in New York City, we have public schools today more segregated than the height of Jim Crow.
Yes.
Republicans call that a political systemic problem. I think Democrats call that a systemic racial problem. I think all of them are referring to the same thing. And I think what
No, you're not. See, this is why they go off and go hire individuals like this. I don't know if he's from immigrants class or whatnot, but if he's not, he'll do till the immigrants get here. This is why they go hire these individuals. This is not a political problem. Racism is not about politics. White supremacy is a religion. This isn't a game of semantics. This is engineered. The bottom line is this is engineered. Place after place, location after location, year after year. Year after year. This is not a political issue. This isn't because you're not on the right side of politics of anything. This is engineered no matter who the political party in power is. So he's sitting up here already saying, hey, does Tim Scott need some help kissing them asses? I heard you needed a second, Tim. Hey, Tim, I heard you was out here kissing ass by yourself. I heard you needed some backup. I'm here.
Republicans have an issue with is the syntax around the phrase systemic racism, or that a systemic racial problem. I think all of them are referring to the same thing. And I think what Republicans have an issue with is the syntax around the phrase systemic racism, which has a connotation that America in and of itself is irredeemably racist. And I think that is what people push back upon.
Well, America certainly is irredeemably racist as long as you refuse to acknowledge that you have a racial problem. Just like a person can be an irredeemable alcoholic. Well, yeah, he's totally irredeemable so long as he refuses to admit or acknowledge that he has a drinking problem. So, yeah, America, like anybody else with an illness that they refuse to treat, hell, refuse to even acknowledge they have it, you can't be helped as long as you fighting everybody who's telling you that you have a problem. I ain't got no issue, pass the bottle. So y'all got to understand, the problem with the Republican Party is they don't give a damn about black people, and then they send out individuals like this who insult your intelligence by claiming to you that there is no problem. That this isn't a systemic issue. This is just something that's happening at your house. Oh, racism isn't a national issue. It's just happening at each black person's home. Yeah, you all are just having a local issue happening in your home. But there actually isn't any systemic racism. This is just happening at your house.
Not on the actual reality that no one should be able to deny. Which has a connotation that America in and of itself is irredeemably racist. And I think that is what people push back upon, not on the actual reality that no one should be able to deny, that racism is real, that we still have work to do. And I think there's a coalition of Americans across the political spectrum that can coalesce around that point.
Mayor Bottoms.
Yeah, you know, I think it's a necessary conversation. I think that when people attempt to erase history and act as if we don't still have issues that are based in race in this country, then it is problematic no matter what your party affiliation. I think what President Obama said was spot on. There are issues that are based in systemic issues, whether it be generational poverty, whether it be life expectancy, whether it be high school graduation rates, incarceration rates. Yeah. There are all huge gaps between African Americans and white Americans with that data, and it's a conversation that we all need to have.
Okay, here's the thing though. There are huge gaps between white Americans and black Americans, even when you control for everything else. If you take 100 white American families and 100 black American families, from the same city, same socioeconomic areas, same number of children, comparable jobs, comparable education, the white folks still outstrip them. It doesn't matter what area of life. White folk are always outstripping you. Well, why is that? Because as a black person, your race comes into account when you touch the real world and the economy. You're not gonna get the same results no matter what you do, unless you are exceptional. So even when you control for everything else, the problem isn't just that we have different outcomes. It's that even if you attempt to even them up, if you leave the system by itself, it starts pushing black folk back, no matter where you are. Black kids and white kids from similar neighborhoods with similar educations and similar backgrounds, and the white kids outstrip them. Well, yeah, because the system is rigged in the white kids' favor to give them unearned benefits, preferential job treatment, preferential income, preferential tax status, preferential medical treatment, preferential educational treatment. Anybody who's put their black children in a private school recognizes that your children still get penalized and targeted over their race when they get there. Either that or your child has to be the white ass kissing little bed buck. That's the only way he can get around that, is if he knuckles under. Now, if he demonstrates that he's not a threat and knuckles under and becomes a little harmless Negro, well, yeah, then he can get along just fine. But when you control for everything else, when this has to be a foot race and everything's equal, that's a problem.
We can have. In Georgia, I remember Republican Governor Nathan Deal pushed forward with very progressive criminal justice reform. This was a Southern Republican governor. So it can be done. We just have to have the will, and people, no matter their party affiliation, needs to know that it's good for the country as a whole.
And so, yesterday's exception, today's rule, Joe, just to make sure we kind of get to the bottom of it. Here's another stat. Black college students, lower 6-year completion for any type of degree or certificate than any other racial or ethnic group. Right. So I understand the point of it's way better than it was. Right.
Lower level for 6 year. First of all, white kids are not steered off into useless degrees. The white kids are given opportunities early to get off into STEM and technology, but medicine. The white kids are given that early. The black kids are told, well, you know what? You'd make a good football player. The black kids are told you'd make a good YouTuber. The white kids are guided from elementary school. The black children just told, well, you know what? You might want to consider doing football. And then once they get older and they go off and go get some useless liberal arts degree, some useless psychology degree, some useless sociology degree, trying to get a master's degree in that, they've wasted 8-10 years of their lives, racked up $100,000 of debt, while their white counterparts didn't even have to finish. There was already a job and placement waiting there for them. The correct things that they could actually use were waiting there for them. Why in the world would you finish a 6-year degree when you're already 100 miles behind after your 4-year degree? Because after the 4 years, that's when you realize that, hell, the 2 years didn't help you, so you stayed until you got 4. The 4 years didn't help you. Now you signed up for 6. Why the hell should you finish that once you start looking down the line and seeing, hey, this ain't gonna change? It's about the time that you all get your useless bachelor's degrees that you realize, hell, this bachelor's degree doesn't do anything for me. Well, then when they tell you, ooh, you need to go back and get your master's. And when that doesn't work, ooh, you need to go back and get your PhD. So once you start figuring out that I'll be damned, you took me from $25,000 in debt to $50,000 in debt, next stop $100,000 in debt. It's like, wait a minute, I've already been at this 4 years. At what point does it start improving? Oh, wait a minute, it doesn't, not for you. Then those of you who try to go get a different type of degree, you go and get your MBA. Yeah, you go and get your MBA, but then you realize that the white students get things that you don't get. The white students get stuff you don't get. You know what? There was one thing in particular. I was watching this the other day. They were talking about, there was a stockbroker. There was a former stockbroker. He's got a YouTube channel. There was a former stockbroker, a former banker, as a matter of fact, got a YouTube channel, former investment banker. And he was talking about how to make it in investment banking, you got to have relationships. Then he starts talking about how you've got to know where people are. You have to be able to make acquaintances at the country club. Once he said that, I'm like, well, finally an honest man here. Finally an honest man. Yeah, you got to be able to make acquaintances at the country club, the petroleum club. Yeah, it's not your job performance that really gets you to take off. It's these places where they can limit and regulate who gets in. So you and the white dude have an MBA, but your MBA ain't gonna do what his does. Because your MBA is on the outside looking in. His MBA is on the inside looking out. So it's not going to work for you. But you're probably going to get 4 or 6 years down the line before you actually realize the 2, 3, 4 years you put in aren't getting you any closer to his results. You're expecting that to get you closer to the results he's getting, that the white kids are getting. And you ain't never going to get there because that's not the way it actually works. And it's only once you get 4 to 6 years in that you now realize, oh, that's not the way it works. Some of the rest of us figured it out earlier. Most of you are going to figure it out later. But the ones who don't figure it out at all are going to be stuck holding the bag.
Yes, but yesterday's exception being today's rule, that doesn't seem fair either.
Well, look, I think there is missing context from what Senator Scott is saying, and I think what ends up happening is that we layer our own prejudices on the words of others, particularly when we disagree with them politically. And so I would say, yes, we can talk about the fact that right there in Baltimore, we've got 23 different schools where not a single black child is proficient in math or reading. We can talk about the fact that all across this country, in Syracuse, New York, the epicenter for child poverty per capita in this country. So yes, we have real...
Okay, you want to hear about something else here, Mr. Pinhead Pinion? You want to hear about proficiency in reading and writing? Let me tell you, George W. Bush became president of the United States, can't freaking read. All of us were mocking him for 8 years. His proficiency or lack thereof didn't stop him from becoming the damn president. You want to hear another one? Donald J. Trump, another one who struggles with literacy and reading. Facts, figures, numbers, by the way, didn't stop him from becoming president. And he went to the Wharton School of Business. No, damn a C student, there was a D student if I ever saw one. It never prevented him from elevating and getting ahead. That didn't stop him. Yeah, it's only when you get to black folk that all of a sudden, ooh, y'all ain't reading and writing with proficiency. Meanwhile, every single black person, you damn right I'm yelling it. Every single black person within the sound of my voice tonight, you have all worked under a white person who didn't speak the language as well as you, didn't speak as well as you. You were more articulate, more insightful. You had to read all the charts. You had to be better at reading, writing, arithmetic than they were, but you worked under them. Every single black person in here over the age of 30 has had to do that. While they sitting up here wagging their finger telling you about the test scores out of your school. And meanwhile, you at your job. Talking about, hey, this bastard over here doesn't know the difference between W and M. Maybe I can be manager. Well, hold back, Bucky. You know, we got a process around here. Well, obviously it don't involve reading. Obviously reading ain't that damn important because he running things. I'm from the state of Louisiana. You ain't got to be a scholar to work on the oil rigs in Louisiana, the oil fields in Louisiana, the oil derricks off the coast of Louisiana, the construction industry. You don't have to sit up here and you don't even need high school reading skills to do that. But the white men, y'all saw just a couple weeks ago, I showed you about the white men running them farms in Florida. What are their literacy scores? What are their reading scores? They only sit up here and come up to you about reading scores and literacy scores and the bar exam when it's time to come up with a rationale for why they're executing white supremacy and systemic racism against you. But when you start questioning them, hey, by the way, I couldn't help but notice Senator John Fetterman is showing up for his press conferences with the hoodie on. He's literally having a mental and emotional breakdown, which is perfectly understandable after having a stroke on his way to the Senate. He's out of here. And he's standing there in front of the world with a hoodie and shorts and tennis shoes on. If you or me were doing that, they'd call us a national disgrace. They would be demanding to have a recall election. Joe Biden, when he gets in front of the teleprompter, it's a life or death struggle for survival. Donald J. Trump didn't even bother with the thing. George W. Bush, half the time he looked like he was ready to say, hey, Dick Cheney, what's that next word there? And they telling you Barack Obama was the most articulate president we've ever had. We only had one of them. And he's only half black. Only had one of those. Meanwhile, all the white dudes, I'm like, really? These are the intelligent folk? Really? These are the high reading skills and math skills people? Really? Really? Tell me more. Tell me more. Every single person in here is confident that they could beat George W. Bush at a spelling bee while you talk. I don't give a damn what school you came from. There's not a one of you who doesn't think you could beat W at a spelling bee. Like, hey, you can be president if you can beat him in a spelling bee. I'll take that bet. I'll take that one. Yeah, I feel like my odds are pretty good. I'll take that one. Hey, can you find a word that has more than 5 letters? We can go ahead and end this quick. If you got a word that has more than 8 letters and more than 2 syllables, we can wrap this up real fast. I can get my coronation going before we end tonight's program. Yeah, 3 syllables? Oh, he's stuck. That ain't gonna work for him. Axis of evil, that was about as far as he could go. Hey, I feel pretty good. I feel like I could take him. I really do. Yes, sir. While he's sitting up here talking about test scores, this is how they confuse y'all. While he's talking about the schools and literacy rate, this is how they confuse y'all. This is how they confuse you.
Racial inequality in this country, I think, again, we're really dealing with party orthodoxy, where in the confines of a political election, we get comfort food from the masses, from both political parties that don't want to have a...
This guy is acting like he's writing the damn Shakespearean play, comfort food for the masses, and it's orthodox. Man, if you don't sit your ass down. If you don't sit your ass down. And this is taken from Jason Black. I'm one of the progenitors of $5 words. And I'm telling you right now, this is damn me ass-kissing babble. Sit him down somewhere. He thinks he's getting ready to go speak at the Federalist Society or something. We dealing with real problems out here in these streets.
True reckoning with how their own policies and their own rhetoric prevents us from having a real conversation.
Mayor Bottoms, I want to this point, just talk about what has happened, obviously, on the other side of the political spectrum, right? You heard Senator Scott and oversimplifying. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but perhaps oversimplifying how some Republicans may see it. On the other side, it happens as well. And the former president talked about that. He criticized how some Democrats are talking about race issues, saying they're alienating some potential allies. Here's what he said.
We have tended at times on the progressive side to tip into kind of a scolding social etiquette police and virtue signaling. Yeah. Our knee-jerk assumption is if somebody doesn't say something the exact right way, that we not only think it's our job to correct them and scold them, but we are making a judgment about their character and their intentions. And I think that does make people feel under assault.
Mayor Bottoms, a survey came out on support for Black Lives Matter.
Okay, now wasn't that kind of weird for Aaron to bring this up here? What the hell this got to? Wasn't this kind of weird? Because first, we're talking about race, and then Aaron brings up this real weird thing here about Obama. We've tended at times on the progressive side to tip into kind of scolding, social etiquette police, and virtue signaling. Virtue signaling. So now we got Joe Rogan language. Now you used to think Joe Rogan was the only one who would talk about virtue signaling. Now we're talking about virtue signaling. Now Obama is talking about virtue signaling. You thought you would only hear this from Joe Rogan and the right or the alt-right. Now we got virtue signaling from Obama, boy. I'm telling you, all the folks who talked about what Obama was going to do for black folk after he got out of office, yeah, he's doing it all right. Oh, he's doing it now, ain't he? He's doing it big. Oh, he's doing it big now. So she goes off and put this up. What the hell's this got to do with race? Oh, it's talking about you need to take it easy on folks. If they say racist things or whatever, we need to take it easy on them.
Kind of a scolding social etiquette police and virtue signaling. Yeah. Our knee-jerk assumption is if somebody doesn't say something the exact right way, that we not only think it's our job to correct them and scold them, but we are making a judgment about their character and their intentions.
Okay, that's Obama talking to us. I want y'all to understand that's Obama talking about us. That's Obama talking about us here in black society who ain't gonna take the code language or the other mess anymore, and we are demanding that you speak the truth and come straight up the middle with it and stand by reality. Our assumption is if somebody doesn't say something the exact right way, that we not only think it's our job to correct them and scold them, but we're making a judgment about their character and their intentions. You damn right we are. You are damn right. We are making character judgments about you. Absolutely we are. We sure are. Yes, we're listening to every word you're saying. It's not a knee-jerk reaction after we've heard you say it for 3 or 4 years. We know what you mean. So when we hear it now, it's like, oh, we cutting straight to the damn chase. You damn right we're making assumptions. You're damn right we're making judgments because we know the deal. Because we know the deal. No, we're not overly sensitive. We know what we're hearing. We're just doing something you're not accustomed to anymore. We're not letting you get 25 miles down the damn road with your bull crap and your nonsense. We're not letting you get 300 miles down the damn road. That's the difference. You're not used to that now. You're not used to us saying, hey, we don't even want to hear you get started with that. Yeah, you one of them. You one of them white ass kissers. You one of them boot licks. You think you have to say, if we don't say things the way you want to, if you can't acknowledge white supremacy and then say exactly what you're going to do about it, it's going to be effective, hell yeah. We are making character judgments about your character. We're not sitting around scratching our heads talking about, well, you can't really know what's in somebody's heart. I see what the nigga just did. That's in his heart. I can see what the nigga just did. That's what's in his heart. We ain't playing this game anymore. Roland Martin is sitting over there waiting for a damn record deal. I said a record deal, not even a radio deal. At this point, he know he ain't going back to television. Not going to get back on radio. Next step, mixtape. He can sit up here and play around with y'all and act a fool. We living out here in the real world under the gun. We ain't going to play with you anymore. When you start talking the bull jive, once we hear the first 3 words, I ain't got to hear the next 50. I heard the first 3. We know where this goes. Now you can light up a blunt, or Obama smokes cigarettes, but you can light up a menthol cools and dance the Dougie that.
And I think that does make people feel under assault.
Mayor Bottoms, a survey came out on support for Black Lives Matter. 51% say they support the movement. It was 67% in June of 2020. Right? That's a huge plunge. Do you agree with what the former president is saying?
Now, you notice they never bring out polls like this for LGBT or abortion. They never bring that out. Oh, what are you all doing wrong? Well, you're scolding people out. What are you doing wrong that's undermining your support? They never tell LGBT that we need to take a poll for them. They never do an LGBT and say, hey, here's how much support there isn't for you, because there is none. They never do that. When they show up for black folk, well, you know, the Pew Research Center says our freedom ain't up for a vote. Our empowerment is not up for a vote. Our survival is not up for a vote, and it ain't something we're going to have a poll over. Well, you know, I mean, if most people agree, then we can go along with it. If they don't, then we might not be able to vote. This ain't up for a vote. We're not holding a poll over this. You don't get to chip in and say, well, here's what I think of it. Sir, there's not a vote being taken. When we show up, all of a sudden, our survival is supposed to be left up to the Pew Research Center. White folk can do whatever. Nobody drags out a poll. Here are how many black folk think that white lives matter. I have yet to see that poll happen. You know why? Because white folk are like, it's not up for a vote. It's not up for a vote. Nor should it be. I'm just showing you what Erin Burnett did here. So she starts off talking about Tim Scott's bootlicking, but she ends up talking about, well, black folk are scolding people over race, so we need to ease up because the Pew Research Center said a poll says something.
Survey came out on support for Black Lives Matter. 51% say they support the movement. It was 67% in June of 2020. Right? That's a huge plunge. Do you agree with what the former president is saying?
Well, I think that anytime you have absolutes, that there is a danger. You have to give people the opportunity to make mistakes. We're human. We will all make mistakes. And I think that's what President Obama was speaking to. It doesn't mean that you give people a license to be hateful and to be disrespectful. But if someone says, you know, I don't understand, I want to know better, I want to do better, I want to understand more, then I think it's incumbent upon all of us to give people that grace and to be forgiving of people. I think that.
Yeah, I can imagine why you would be saying that now, Keisha, after what happened to you. I can imagine you all kinds of conciliatory now. Well, you know, we all need to be understanding out here. I can understand that. She didn't think things were going to come down as hard as they did. She was real buck behind that microphone at first, wasn't she? When we took to the streets, she was real buck behind that microphone. As time went on and billboards went up, yeah, she got some correcting. Before it was over, she got some removal. So yeah, now all of a sudden she wants everybody to kumbaya and just hold it together now. Let's not be too rough now. Let's not do that. Yeah, everybody wants to get conciliatory when they talk to us. When they talk to everybody else, it ain't about forgiving and conciliatory. It's about power when they talk to everybody else. When they talk to us, all of a sudden, here comes the forgive talk when it comes to us. When it comes to us, we got to do that. Nobody else does. We got to do that. Hey, you know who I want to see forgiven? Jonathan Majors. I want to see Jonathan Majors forgiven. That's who I want to see. I want to see Jonathan Majors forgiven. I want to see that. So we can get Jonathan Majors forgiven. I don't know if I want to hear anything else. Well, folks, as crazy as what you've seen so far, you better go get your Gaviscon because we're just getting ready to turn the damn corner. We're just getting ready to turn the damn corner. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, folks, you're going to see something that's going to make you say the world has turned on its damn ear. I bull jive you not. When you see what I got to show you next, you're going to say, I'll be damned. The world has spun on its ear. Get ready for that coming up here next. Before we do, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. I see all of you out there. Thank you very much. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, Man, get ready for this. This is the Black Channel.
Are you ready to take the next step in your career or business? With Higher Life Recruiting and Consulting, you can get the help you need to reach your goals. Our experiences span multiple industries, giving us the ability to source top talent across various fields. We specialize in STEM and high-tech industries, but we are equally adept at recruiting and professional services. Our services include career consulting, resume writing, LinkedIn consulting, interviewing, lead generation, sourcing, and talent mapping. Follow us on Instagram at Get Higher With Us.
Having computer problems? Is your PC or Mac running slow? Need help building a gaming PC? Having problems with your Apple or Android device? Call or text Fix Too Fast. We can fix common and uncommon computer software issues remotely anywhere nationwide from the comfort of your home or business. Are you having hardware issues with your PC or Mac? Ship it to us and we will ship it back fixed. Call 1-877-412-9890 or text 513-440-1646 to speak to a technician. Please visit our website at www.fixtoofast.net.
A white supremacist assassin seeks revenge. Corrupt FBI agents with evil intentions. Dangerous black collaborators dedicated to treason. Occam Jeffers must defeat them all and somehow survive. One misstep and he's a dead man. Join Occam Jeffers as he looks the devil in his blue eyes and tells him, Black first. A sequel to the underground hit War of the Heart, Spirit of 1811 Publishing presents God Love Us, on sale at Amazon. Pre-order and save today. Visit spirit of1811publishing.com and show your love.
More Threads, a brand owned by a descendant of Black American freedmen, was created to uniquely address Black American history and contributions that have been intentionally hidden and suppressed. Use their apparel and more to learn and share the Black American history of Black inventions, heroes, towns, Black business districts, and more. Sign up and support not only a Black-owned business, but a movement at www.morethread.co.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' natural body butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. A little bit of housekeeping I need to do here. First of all, I want to thank everyone who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. My man B1 Media is a lifesaver, as usual, always on deck. Thank you very much for your support. Brother Jafar, I see you out there. Thank you very much for your support as well. Mark B, Mr. Richburg, Chadwick, Mr. Bonham, and everyone else out there. Brenda Starr. Brenda says that she is, looks like she's out there in the field with a Kit Kat. I don't know if it's a Kit Kat, Butterfinger, or a Snicker bar, but Brenda says that she's out there in the field, and she's out there in the field with a candy bar. She's out there in the field with a candy bar getting used to it. So, yeah, let me tell you, it don't melt in your mouth nor your hands. It don't melt in your mouth nor your hands. So, certainly, baby, go ahead and do what you do. Also, big shout out here to Ogun Spirit. Big shout out to Ogun Spirit. Ogun Spirit, I got word here today that the brother, they've given birth to a beautiful little baby girl. So happy birthday, baby Jade. She was 11 pounds, 14 ounces. She's adorable. So big shout out here to my brother Ogun. Congratulations on that, brother. We are glad to see that as always. I've been meaning to get in touch with him here. I'm going to have to holler at him here in a little bit. Things have been hectic and crazy over here, and I don't like to talk to people in between things. But I just want to take a moment here to say congratulations to brother Ogun and baby Jade. She's a cute, adorable little thing, so definitely glad to see that. All right, what we got here next? Boy, I'm telling you, if I haven't offended you all yet, if I haven't offended you badly enough here yet, because they could have just left it alone. No, we ain't gonna leave a damn thing alone, because why would we? Here comes the CBS News. Here comes the CBS News about black conservatism, and I'm just warning you in advance before we even get started. All right, let me go ahead and take a drag right quick. Okay, let me go ahead and do that. Yeah, man. Let me go ahead and drag that right quick before I get started on this one, because it's black conservatism. Oh, Lord, this just... What in the world am I doing for a vocation out here? All right, it's the CBS News, and strap in and hang on.
South Carolina Senator and GOP presidential candidate Tim Scott is responding to criticism former President Obama made regarding Republican African-American candidates. Mr. Obama said U.S. voters have a right to be skeptical about minority candidates who ignore some of the racial divides in this country. Scott says that he considers criticism from Obama a, quote, compliment. So this all comes at a time when black conservative voters are starting to attract more attention ahead of the 2024 presidential race. Back in 2020, about 87% of black voters supported Joe Biden in the presidential election. That's according to exit polling. For more on this now, we want to bring in Janelle King and Joel Payne. Janelle is the former deputy state director of the Georgia Republican Party and co-chair.
Doesn't she look like that chick from Fox News? Doesn't she look like that slender black chick from Fox News that they keep trotting out every... I forget her name. She's the one with the... It's like she got two first names or something like that. I forget her name. Don't she look like she's sisters with that girl? Yeah, Harris Faulkner, the chick with two first names. Yeah, doesn't she look with two last names? I'm sorry, this woman got two last names. Harris Faulkner. Not two first names, two last names. Don't she look just like Harris? Doesn't she look like Harris Faulkner's sister? I'm talking about the eyebrows and everything. Don't she look like Harris Faulkner's sister? So I'm telling you, just when you thought you was done and you only needed one, here we go. Here we go. So, you know, Deputy Director of Georgia Republicans. Okay, we know where this is going now, don't we?
For more on this now, we want to bring in Janelle King and Joel Payne. Janelle is the former deputy state director of the Georgia Republican Party and co-chair of the...
It's not I don't know, y'all. Is that quite the immigrant gap? Is that quite the immigrant gap? I mean, she got the gap there. It's just I'm trying to get the pedigree.
Joel Payne, Janelle...
Oh, no. The jury is still out. Is that the immigrant gap? Is that the immigrant gap? I don't want to do this wrong, but y'all know me. Folks talk about the hairlines, but I'm like, what about the immigrant gap, though, man? When you see that gap in the teeth, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, y'all must be from the Caribbean. Are you sure? So, folks, I don't know. We're going to have to do the background under here just to make sure about the immigrant gap. I don't know what the immigrant gap is doing. So... That's my issue right there. Is it the immigrant gap, y'all? I don't know. Let's check the paperwork just so we can be sure. Just so we can be sure.
Is the former deputy state director of the Georgia Republican Party and co-chair of the Political Action Committee, Let's Win for America Action. And Joel, of course, is a CBS News political contributor, Democratic strategist, and chief communications officer for move on. Thanks for joining us, lady and gentlemen. Janelle, I'm going to start with you. Tim Scott is pushing back, saying, listen, quote, the truth of my life disproves lies of the radical left. He's simply ignoring years of discriminatory practices. Or actually, the question is, you know, when he sort of poo-poos the idea that discrimination has had a long-term negative impact on African Americans, is he ignoring this, or is there, you know, another narrative that is as valid?
Well, you know, I think we have to look at this from a different perspective, right? So as Black conservatives, the misconception is that we don't understand these things, that we don't understand that there are so many things that has happened in this country that has affected people of color, and particularly Black people. But the thing about it is that we're still American. And I think what Tim Scott is really saying is that, yes, while we acknowledge that there's so many things that we have overcome and there's so many areas that we're still, you know, moving towards and still fighting in, we cannot ignore the fact that we have grown, that we have established some new precedents, and that a lot of Black Americans are doing well, that we are moving forward. We like to push the idea of making sure we understand that while I'm ethnically Black,
Man, damn this Pepto. I need some E and J in this son of a gun. This Pepto ain't gonna hold me. Oh, I need something heavier than this. I need some Hennessy or some Bacardi 151. This damn Pepto ain't gonna hold me. Not through 12 minutes of this. Oh, I ain't gonna make it. Oh, I'm not gonna make it. There's no way in the hell I'm gonna make it through 12 minutes of that. Oh, no, 12 minutes of buffoon babble? Oh, no. That Pepto ain't gonna hold me. I gotta have something stronger than this. Man, look here. This is the kind, I can imagine living with this heifer. She'll drive you to drink. She about to get me there. I just met you. I'm about to be there.
That we don't understand that there are so many things that has happened in this country that has affected people of color, and particularly Black people. But the thing about it is that we're still American. And I think what Tim Scott is really saying is that, yeah.
When you sit here and say there are so many things that have affected us as Black people, but we're still Americans. Wait a minute. When you make the argument that we have been treated differently, then obviously we are not Americans. Obviously, we are not. If our experiences have been diametrically and systemically different, we are not Americans. We are not. And the sound is fine. If anybody in the chat room says that there's a problem with the sound, to my mods, if there's no issues with the sound, I want them banned. So anybody who jumps up and says there's an issue with the sound, if my mods say there's no issue with the sound, you need to get that Commodore 64 that you got upgraded. It's time for you to retire that ColecoVision. If somebody else says that there's a problem with the sound, if there's no problem, my mods are to ban them. Now we got that fixed. Next person who says there's a problem with the sound, if there is no problem, ban them. Moving right along. You can't sit up here and say that we Black on the one hand and then Americans on the other. No, we're not. Because if our Americanness had the value you claim it does, then you wouldn't have to say that we going through anything. That's the problem. So you've already disqualified yourself.
Understand that there are so many things that has happened in this country that has affected people of color, and particularly Black people. But the thing about it is that we're still American. And I think what Tim Scott is really saying is that, yes, while we acknowledge that there's so many things that we have overcome, and there's so many.
Okay, if I'm an American, I shouldn't have to overcome nothing. And what are you talking about? We've overcome. What have we overcome that we still ain't dealing with today? Name one issue that we were fighting 100 years ago that we're not still fighting today. We have to remember that we're American, but if my Americanness doesn't give me full American benefits, then my Americanness is useless. I'm just a legal alien. I'm not an illegal alien. I'm a legal alien. So you ain't talking to nobody but yourself, ma'am. You're sitting up here talking about Americanness and then telling us what we're struggling to get over. Those two can't coexist. If everybody ain't struggling against the same thing, then my Americanness obviously doesn't have the commensurate value that it should. So don't tell me about me being American. It's obviously not protecting me nor benefiting me.
Country that has affected people of color and particularly Black people. But the thing about it is that we're still American. And I think what Tim Scott is really saying is that, yes, while we acknowledge that there's so many things that we have overcome and there's so many areas that we're still, moving towards and still fighting in, we cannot ignore the fact that we have grown, that we have.
Now, she just said there are still plenty of areas that we are fighting through and growing in. You just told us we were Americans. This is like somebody saying, I'm this man's child. I'm his heir. Now, every time I see him, I gotta fight through things and struggle to get him to acknowledge my existence. But I'm still his child. No, you're not. If you have to fight with these people and argue with them and sue them and bully them and bring out your damn pistol, then you ain't got to do that with your damn parents. Obviously, you're not their child. Obviously, they don't want to claim you. Obviously, you are not really part of the family. You might share their genes, but you are obviously out of the family. Because when you in the family, you ain't got to fight for that. That's a birthright. That's given to you. And she's sitting up here talking about the joys of fighting for what we should. Well, you as Americans, if you can fight for it. You're Americans if you can give somebody a drop kick and beat them into submission for it. Man, damn that.
We have overcome, and there's so many areas that we're still, moving towards and still fighting in. We cannot ignore the fact that we have grown, that we have established some new precedents, and that a lot of Black Americans are doing well, that we are moving forward. We like to put
a lot of Black Americans are doing well. Ain't gonna make it. Ain't gonna make it. Just ain't no way. Ain't gonna happen. A lot of us are doing well. You mean well like Bill Cosby? You mean well like him? Well like Cuba Gooding Jr.? Well like Floyd Mayweather? You mean doing well? Well like Jonathan Majors? You mean doing well like that? You mean that? Every Black man in America who's sitting up here making something of himself, boy, half of them find themselves under indictment or arrest. You mean, well, there's a lot of Black people doing well, and you can't name one place in America where the majority of Black people in that geographic location are doing well. What the hell is doing well, by the way? What is that? What does that even mean? There are a lot of Black people doing well. What does that even mean? Can y'all tell me what the hell she talking about? What does she mean by there are a lot of Black folk doing well? What does doing well mean? It certainly doesn't mean making money, because they taking everything you got left and right. One white woman show up, there that goes. Kanye West, you say something that the white corporations don't like, there that goes. What the hell is doing well?
and still fighting in, we cannot ignore the fact that we have grown, that we have established some new precedents, and that a lot of Black Americans are doing well, that we are moving forward. We like to push the idea of making sure we understand that while I'm ethnically Black, I'm still an American, and I have to make sure that.
Oh no, I need a twofer. Oh, I have never actually seriously considered investing in a weed man before today. Up until now, I have been systemically and lifelong against drugs, and I never actually really considered investing in a marijuana man before today. But after listening to her and having to sit through this, I'm thinking, I've got enough disposable income. I just might have to invest in a weed man. I might just have to do that because I don't want to become an alcoholic, but at the same time, I can't take this antacid anymore either. So maybe I just need something to help me zone the hell out is what I really need to do. Maybe I need something to help me zone out. Yeah, because Pepto ain't gonna hold me through. I can't do it. Pepto. I'm not gonna invite. A couple of fellas said they'll smoke with me. Fellas, if I ever did start, okay, I get the weed man. But if I ever do start a weed habit, it ain't gonna be with the dudes. I'm at least find some females. No offense, fellas. I'm just saying this. I don't want to get nobody no ideas. So if I do start a weed habit, it'll be with the females. Not this heifer though. It ain't gonna be her.
Precedents. And that a lot of Black Americans are doing well, that we are moving forward. We like to push the idea of making sure we understand that while I'm ethnically Black, I'm still an American. And I have to make sure that we are fighting for the same things and that we're looking at this American agenda as something that's beneficial to Black America versus kind of sitting on it and saying that because we are Black Americans, that somehow we now need something separate or somehow we just don't, we can't win in this America.
But you've been held back separately. We've been penalized separately. Yes, we were penalized separately, thus we need to be repaired separately. We were given particular focus for oppression. We need particular focus for reparations. That's the way that works. She's sitting up here talking out of both sides of her pie hole. She's acknowledging racism. She's acknowledging we've been disenfranchised, acknowledging that we've been treated differently, and then turning around and telling you everything's all right. Why do we need something separate? Because of all that separate persecution you just mentioned. That's why. My goodness, we talk about the alt-right haircut. This must be that Harris Faulkner bedwench haircut. Here they show up and here we go. Boy, I'm telling you, let me look through here. Oh, it's a good thing she stops talking because I wasn't going to make it, y'all. 12 minutes of this? Oh, you would be picking me up off of the floor. You'd be calling paramedics. There's no way on this side of Southwest GE microwave hell that I could sit through this for 12 damn minutes. It wasn't gonna happen.
Sitting on it and saying that because we are Black Americans, that somehow we now need something separate or somehow we just don't, we can't win in this America when we can.
Joel, I want you to respond.
Yeah. I'll get that. Don't tell us that we can't because we can. No, we sometimes do. You can't tell me that we did the same work the white folk did and don't get the same damn results. Well, you can win. No, you might. No, you might. That's the damn best I can do. Man, forget it. I'm scared she gonna come back here again. Look here. Y'all got what little bit is left of me over here. My stomach lining is thinning out. Listen to this garbage. And CBS News, this is what CBS News wants to go do. Oh yeah, by the way, the fella here, just in case you thought that they would have balance on here, this is CBS News' idea of balance now.
I have two thoughts on this. First, any day that Tim Scott gets the top of a segment with Barack Obama is a good day for the Tim Scott campaign. Seriously, right? It's just a base political point there. Tim Scott is finally getting a chance to be elevated.
This is your Democratic strategist here. With the gap going, by the way, folks, I mean, is that a requisite for them to talk to black folks now? Is, by the way, if you ain't got a quarter inch between your two front teeth, we don't know if we can have you on TV. We don't know if we can actually have you on TV. You ain't got a big enough space in your teeth. Did you suck your thumb until you were 19? If you didn't, we don't know if we can have you on. We don't know if you're qualified to speak. I don't know. Y'all answer that for me. I can't figure it out. Boy, I'm telling you, this is wearing me out today. It's wearing me out. You all wonder why I didn't want to talk about this before. It's wearing me smooth slap the hell out. Oh, I don't even know if I can take any more of this. So this is your Democratic strategist here. Yeah, because the Republican wasn't good enough. Yeah, because Miss Helen Faulkner here wasn't good enough. Harris Faulkner Jr. Okay, man, look here. I'm just like, all right, dude, what the hell? This is CBS News now. So CNN is telling us we need to quit virtue signaling. CBS News is telling us, that Tim Scott is pretty good. What the hell? If you all didn't have the black media, what the hell would you have? Now, if you want real proof that the world has spun mad, if you want real proof that the world has gone insane, if you want real proof that ain't nothing gonna be the same, this is so hard to do what I do. Folks, as you heard earlier this week, Joe Biden's son got plenty of white privilege. He was evading taxes. He was smoking it up. He was working for foreign governments. So his daddy just gave him a slap on the wrist and let him off and said, here, go vote for me. And a lot of folks are upset about that. A lot of Republicans, none other than white supremacist, racist arch fiend, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who never saw a black person she didn't hate and never saw a white supremacist she didn't love. And when they announced that, guess what she put up? You see this tweet down here from Henry Rogers. Kodak Black's lawyer reacts to the Hunter Biden news, says Kodak was charged for the same crime and had to serve 3 years in jail for it. So Joe Biden's son, being a felon, or was that they tried to keep him from having a felony the way he had the gun? I think they asked him if he ever used drugs or whatever. And Kodak Black's lawyer's like, by the way, my client spent 3 years in jail for the exact same thing. Folks, that ain't the killing part of it. Take a look at what Marjorie Taylor Greene said about it. This is what she had to say. Do you see that? Marjorie Taylor Greene said, unfortunately, Kodak's daddy was not president, and he's not white. Folks, is Marjorie Taylor Greene trying to tell us something? Has Marjorie been kicking it with the brothers on the weekend? Is she about to have a Becky confession? Is Marjorie about to have a Becky confession? Is she about to have a Karen confession? Is Marjorie Taylor Greene about to give us her Karen confession? Marjorie, is there something you want to say? Is there something you easing into? Is there something you trying to say that you just trying to ease your way into it? Baby, get it all off your chest. Just go ahead and drop it. If you trying to say something. If you trying to say you reconsidering black men after all this time, after the incident with the black congressman up there and whatnot, and you're like, by the way, I like that big blackness for a minute there. It just makes me feel all dainty. If there's something you trying to tell us, ma'am, you need to go ahead and come on out with it. Don't hide it. But I will tell you something else. This is a common tactic here. See, white folk will acknowledge racism when it benefits them. Just like China acknowledges America's white supremacist racism when it benefits China, then they go practice racism against us in China. So yeah, they'll acknowledge it as long as it benefits them. So they have no problem coming out and talking about racism and, oh, that's an issue there. All of a sudden, his not being white. Explain, Marjorie, you didn't go into an explanation there. You notice she didn't go into an explanation about that. That would be kind of essential, wouldn't it? We need some context. Why didn't she give some context to that? So she's acknowledging that there were two problems, not one. Number one, Kodak Black is not the president's son. Number two, he's not white. Can you please elaborate on what his non-whiteness has to do with it? Why is it that the court that he was in, why is his non-whiteness an issue in the court system that he was in? Because it wasn't just one judge. You're never convicted by a judge. You're convicted by the system. So what is it about his non-whiteness that is a problem in this system? That's what I want to know. Why is it that that's not, if he's not white, well, how is that a problem, Marjorie? Why is that not, how is that an issue that he's not white? Because you've been spending all this time telling us that Kyle Rittenhouse is an American hero and there is no systemic racism. I'm very glad to hear that. So what does Kodak Black not being white have to do with Joe Biden's son? Asking for a whole bunch of friends. Asking for a whole bunch of friends. Yeah, go ahead and tell us what you really mean. We just want to know. Go ahead and point that out for us. See, these folks will acknowledge racism when it allows them to take shots at their political enemies and whatnot, but people, we ain't no political football. We're not a political football. You don't get to acknowledge racism when it's convenient. You don't get to acknowledge white supremacy when it's convenient. White supremacy has to be stated as an empirical, undeniable fact, just like the weather, just like agriculture, just like stones. It has to be treated as an empirical fact and reality. Just like air and water. You don't get to decide it's a reality one day and it's irrelevant the next. It is the reality every single minute of every single day. So it must be an election season because you got all kinds of folks trying to figure out how they can sit up here and play us for the fool. And let's go ahead and see if we can pander to them over there. And we're going to acknowledge it when it's convenient. And we're going to ignore it when it's not. No, you don't get to invoke it when convenient. It either is real or it ain't. If it's real, you're done talking and done arguing. Because it's real. Because it's real. So, folks, I'm telling you, y'all thought it was going to slow down tonight. I saved the best for last. None other than Marjorie Taylor Greene is acknowledging systemic racism without acknowledging he's not white. Okay, then what is he and why does it matter? If he's not white, then what is he and why is it that he's not white is a factor? Why is that? Because that sounds like you're describing systemic racism to me. It sounds like that. That's what it sounds like to me. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the Blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind today, the headquarters of the new Black media. You are, of course, welcome to join us. You have the opportunity to do that as well. I know we've been coming in hot here tonight and blazing it, but I just couldn't keep my foot off the gas here tonight. Whole lot to take care of here. I hope I got caught up on most of it. I want to thank all of you here for joining us for tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And thank you for contributing to tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you very much for your support here to Lavelle Carter, Derek Johnson, Christine West, thank you very much for your support. M. Dunn, we see y'all out there. Death Before Dishonor, and Mr. Wilburn, thank you very much for your support here today. We're talking about pandering to black people as their fools. We started off with Barack Obama. We ended with Marjorie Taylor Greene because pandering to black folk when convenient, playing us for the fools when convenient, that is a bipartisan issue. Denying racism is a bipartisan issue. Acknowledging racism when convenient. I'm showing you a Republican white supremacist arch villain. Acknowledging racism when convenient. Any other day of the week, she'll tell you racism doesn't exist. She will acknowledge it, however, when it's convenient for her to do so. So in other words, she'll flip the script. She'll spin that jacket around when it suits her, when it's convenient, when she thinks it gives her some type of advantage. Yeah, all of a sudden she'll talk like us. Right till you get to the part about what you're gonna do about it. Once you start asking, okay, thanks you very much, Marjorie, for acknowledging that. Now, what are we gonna do? Then she gonna get quiet. That's the way that always goes. Let me get a caller from area code 425. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Agnes. I'm calling from Seattle, Washington.
All right, Agnes from Seattle, what's on your mind?
Hi, thank you for tonight's broadcast. I'm glad you broke down what's going on with Obama and also Tim Scott. It's election season. We can tell they're already out in full force, and I'm just shaking my head. Thanks for enlightening me to the reality, and I appreciate your broadcast.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do give us a call again. Let me get caller from area code 914. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, good evening, Jason. My name is Michael, and I'm calling from the Bronx, New York.
All right, Michael from the Bronx. What's on your mind?
I'm listening to the lady from the Republican Party talk, and I listen to a lot of the people from the Democratic Party talk. And my opinion on them, both of them, both party, they go into that politics stuff with the white people in the Democratic Party and the white people in the Republican Party. And I think the white people brainwash them, because if you listen to them, they just sound like it's like they've been indoctrinated.
Well, they have, but remember, I taught you all this about Simone Sanders and so many others. Yeah, I mean, they've been watching them and grooming them since they were teenagers. So these were the little black kids who glummed onto and latched onto these ideologies early. So that these folk are going to understand, with political parties, they want to see your track record. See, as black folk, we just let any old damn body in because they're carrying a Bible and singing a hip-hop tune. With these other folks here, they check your paperwork. They want to know who goes there. They want to check to see, were you a member of the high school Republicans? Did you interracially date? Who did you support back then and why? When you get to college, they want to see, did you join the college Republicans? Did you identify as conservative? Who were you dating then? So they check your paperwork. They check the pedigree. They make sure you got a track record that's long. You didn't just jump up one day out of nowhere. They make sure they follow you backwards and see, now, just how secure are you? How solid are you? You can't, that's why you don't get a bunch of double agents rising up. These folk make sure that you were groomed on this early. So when you talk about the brainwashing, brother, it's not brainwashing, it's grooming. It's grooming from a young age. Take a look at the way in which this chick dresses. Take a look at what she's wearing and how she's dressing, man. When's the last time you saw a black woman dressed like this? When's the last time you saw a black female dressed like this woman is? That's not accidental. She's been groomed. She's been in the environment she's been under so long, she doesn't even know which way is up anymore. So when y'all see these people get brought up by these political parties as their representatives, they've been fully vetted, dude. They didn't just show up one evening. They've been fully vetted. And if the paperwork don't come back straight, you just on the outside looking in. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, real quick. I don't want to hold up your broadcast, but I noticed with the Republican, I see their game. If you want to be a part of their party, you gotta deny racism. You gotta talk about it's not racism, it's class system and stuff like that, and they will love you. And with the Democrats now, you gotta worry about, you're black, but you gotta worry about everybody else. You gotta be on this black and brown, and these people are delusional. I think when they get into this politics, these black people, they become so brainwashed, they become delusional. Because, man, I don't know.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. He's flabbergasted. Let me get caller from area code 601. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Call from area code 601. Hello, last Jeremiah try. You're on live.
Hello, this is Jeremiah from Jackson, Mississippi.
Jeremiah from Jackson, Mississippi. What's on your mind?
Man, it's all good, brother. Excellent broadcast this evening. One thing we got to do to combat these issues is have our own agenda. I formulated an agenda for my city of Jackson, Mississippi, and I presented it at an investment meeting, and we're going to be presenting this to the city council of Jackson. And I think that we can all use a framework similar to what I did. And I just basically use a framework that's already there. You look at the agenda or the 9 areas of human activity.
Brother, what does that have to do with tonight's program, sir?
Okay. Well, tonight's program, you did an excellent job putting out all these raccoons we have out here, like Barack Hussein Obama, who's been pushing an agenda that is on black empowerment. And you did a good job of showing us. And I needed some Crown Royal hearing that Tim Scott rhetoric from that mammy out there. And I appreciate you putting that out there, brother. That's all I get. Peace, blessings unto you, Black Power.
All right, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 323. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, good evening, big brother Jason. This is brother Elijah calling out of Brooklyn, New York.
All right, brother Elijah, what's on your mind?
Question, big brother. After listening to tonight's broadcast, and you start to see these little minute Republican outreach in a slick way, do you see by the next presidential election, and especially with the angered black voters, with the migrants coming in the picture, do you think there's going to be a rise in black Republican numbers next presidential election, big brother?
It depends on who's doing it. Because black folk want straight talk. We don't want people giving us a bunch of code language we got to decipher through, because we know everybody's trying to pull a fast one. So if you have a Donald Trump, yes, that can happen. If you have a Tim Scott, no way. Everybody sees him for what he is.
Yes, sir.
And if you have a Ron DeSantis, with Donald Trump, you'll gain some numbers. With Tim Scott, things hold firm. With Ron DeSantis, your numbers go back the other way. Ron DeSantis will have black folk going back Democrat again. So they're at a very crucial moment right now, and Trump would be the only one who's got the ability to do that kind of thing. So it would depend on who it is. So yeah, it could happen, but only with the right person. If it's not the right person, then basically it's going to fall apart, period.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 703. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
CB calling out of Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay, CB out of Lexington. What's on your mind?
You asked a question about how black people are doing better, and basically what this woman you have on your screen said. And I wrote in the comment section quite clearly basically the standard is so low for us is that the bare minimum, doing better for black people is basically not being dead or in jail. So us having the bare minimum, you know, as long as we're breathing and living, somebody told me that a roach woke up today, a dog woke up today. That doesn't mean necessarily that, you know, that's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say, Jason.
Yeah, like I say, what is defined as doing well for us or exception, doing great for us or the exception, that's always very low. We're saying I want to be compared to the white folk. I want you to show me, am I on parity with them? And if what is, quote, doing well for them, what is the rule for them? And then I want to see what's the rule for us. Well, let's make a one-to-one direct comparison. Because if we can't, I don't want to hear it. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 405. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, hello. This is Black Johnson from city of Phoenix, Arizona.
All right, Black Johnson, what's on your mind?
Hey, real quick. This past week, I was in Avondale. Went to a Juneteenth celebration, and they had a panel talking up there. One of the council members is a black lady that is of Jamaican and American descent. And of course, that was said. It was also a member of the NAACP there. So after the panel or whatever, I asked him. I said, "How do you feel about reparations for foundational Black Americans?" The first thing that came out of his mouth was he was working with another gentleman, and they were kind of following the model of California. The first thing he said was, "Well, you have to prove that he's black." And I stopped him right there in his tracks, and I said, No. Yes, you do. And I broke down to him about foundational Black Americans, how we always come up short, this, that, and the other, and we got to have it. And that's all I really wanted to say. I went, observed the observation, noticed that it was basically a, low-key push for Democrats because, we're in an election year, and that's really all I had to say. Be one.
Okay, well, thank you for giving us a call here tonight. Folks are kind of off subject so far as I can tell here. I don't think that really is germane to what we're discussing here tonight. Might have to do some crowd control. Let me get caller from area code 563. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. It's Victoria.
Okay, what's the name again?
Victoria.
Okay, Victoria, where are we calling out of?
From Iowa.
All right, Victoria from Iowa. What's on your mind?
Hi. How are you today?
We're hosting our program here.
Auntie, chill.
What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say thank you for giving us this program and giving us the information that you've been giving us. It's been very helpful. And just keep on doing what you're doing.
Okay.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
She's trying to get shows on. Okay, we'll just we'll do that some other time. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me go ahead and she's trying to seduce. I'm like, ma'am, not during working hours. Not during working hours. It's a good thing I wasn't lit on that hen, wasn't it, boy? It's a good thing that old Harris Faulkner Jr. didn't have me lit on that hen when she showed up. Hey, Jason, how you doing, baby? Look here, I'm stressed. I need a back rub. Oh, well, Jason, it sounds like you're in need. The whole damn program would have got derailed. One phone call, the whole program gets derailed. You're welcome to call us back up, though. You're welcome to call us back up. Victoria from Iowa. All right, let me get caller from area code 404. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this Lil Rock from the A.
Okay, brother, if you're on speaker, you need to take it off. You're real hollow. Give you one chance here to go ahead. If you got speaker or earbuds or something like that, you need to take those off.
My bad, man. This Lil Rock right here from the A.
Okay, which A?
From Atlanta.
All right, what's on your mind?
I just had a question, man. You was saying, you was talking about where black people doing good at. Atlanta got the highest concentration of black millionaires, so just want to know what you think about that.
Well, here's the issue. Who are we comparing that to?
I mean, Atlanta got the most successful black people.
Well, here's the thing, brother. I mean, here's the thing. You can have two black millionaires in one city, and they say that this city has the highest concentration of millionaires. You see what I mean? You got 40 million citizens and only two of you in one city. So what I'm saying is when we make that particular statistic, when we say that kind of thing, the question has to be, okay, who are we comparing that to? Are we comparing that to the number of Asian millionaires? Are we comparing that to the number of white millionaires? Because when you put that in perspective, then you start to figure out and determine whether or not that statistic is actually meaningful.
I mean,
if you have 100 black millionaires in Atlanta, but 5,000 white millionaires, then what does that tell you?
I'm just saying in comparison to every other black city, you know what I'm saying?
Right, but what I'm saying is this is what Dr. Claude Anderson said, it's statistically insignificant. When you take a look at the things in Atlanta that create real wealth, how much of that do black folk own?
There's a lot of black homeowners in Atlanta.
Okay, so in other words, black millionaire wealth is determined by the value of the house they live in. And that is subject to go up and down with the rate of inflation or the housing market. So in other words, their only real asset is their home. And the only reason we call that an asset is because that's what the banks classify it as when they want to indebt you. But are white people's number one source of wealth there in Atlanta among the millionaire class, is their number one asset their home?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, I think you want to take a look at that again. The number one asset class is going to be things that make money, businesses, those kind of things. Paper assets. Those are the kind of things that do that, not relying on just your house. When you take a look at the 2008 financial crisis, for example, it demolished black folk in Atlanta. Well, why? Because without the home to maintain its value, they didn't have another source of revenue or source of capital to keep paying for the home. White folk, on the other hand, had homes as investments, not as domiciles, not as their singular residence. So the white folk who lost out in 2008 were white folk who were trying to get ahead with investments. They were not folk who were losing their homes per se, not to the degree black folk did. So yes, are there some white folk who rely on that? Sure, absolutely. But brother, you take a look at all over Atlanta, the building going on in Atlanta, the economic expansion going on in Atlanta, all through downtown, all throughout the loop. Brother, those aren't homeowners. You take a look at Mercedes Stadium and the Braves Field, those aren't homeowners. CNN Center, those aren't homeowners. When you take a look at the economic development in Atlanta as a result of the film industry coming there, once again, those aren't homeowners.
Okay, but I'm saying, like, what other city, you know what I'm saying, can you say is doing what Atlanta doing?
I mean, but here's the question is, what is Atlanta doing? Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. You got some black folk there making some progress and strides. We know who they are. We've heard the names before. I mean, that's good. I'm not knocking that. But what I'm saying is, statistically speaking, there's a reason that they got to go to the city council to say, hey, y'all shouldn't be targeting black clubs to shut them down. So all those, quote, millionaires, yeah, you got so many millionaires, the millionaires had to show up at the city council. I did the program on that before. Big Mike and the others talking about, oh, these restrictive noise ordinances and nuisance ordinances, y'all are targeting black folk with that and black businesses. Your millionaires were at the city council talking about they're targeting our businesses. You know who wasn't at the city council complaining about their wealth and businesses being targeted? The white folk. The W, the Westin, Marriott, CNN, Mercedes Stadium, Olympic Park, Waffle House. I can go down the list. They weren't complaining, and they never do. So what I'm saying is that when you make that statement needs context. How many millionaires we talking about, and what is the source of their, quote, millionaire status? Because Big Mike and T.I., congratulations to them, and any of the others. If Andre 3000 is still floating around Atlanta, we don't know if he is or isn't. Rick Ross is in the vicinity somewhere. So, I mean, that's all great. No, he's not in Atlanta, but you get the idea. I mean, but that's great and everything. I get that. But when we start talking about the assets in Atlanta, the wealth building assets, because when you say millionaire, folk are thinking that this person is generating income. When you say, oh no, well, you got a bunch of black folk who have purchased or financed overpriced houses. And the houses, well, that constitutes their millionaire status. Okay, but without the house, what do they have? Oh, they got nothing. Except Killer Mike and T.I. But if you took away these other, over there in Buckhead, you take away their houses, oh, they got nothing. But with the white folk, you take away their houses, and it's like, well, we're okay because that's not really the foundation of our wealth. So when you say millionaires, there's a difference between they're classified as millionaires or these are actual functional millionaires who have $1 million they can put their hands on. That is deceptive to say that. If they're all of their value is tied up in their homes, think about it right now. The housing market is so screwed up right now that if all their value is tied up in their home, that the majority of their net worth is tied up in that house, they can't even liquidate the house right now because the market is so overvalued. If they did sell the house, they wouldn't have another place to go because everything else is overpriced too. So they basically have to sit on the house. So they're actually trapped with the house. A person isn't trapped with an asset. An asset that you cannot liquidate because it would destroy you. Well, that's not an asset. That's a all you got. That's a necessity. So when you say they're millionaires, you certainly don't mean multimillionaires. And when you say that, you mean that all of their value is tied up in a singular asset. Therefore, they're classified a certain way. What they are not is a millionaire economic block. They are not an economic block of millionaires moving capital. That isn't what they are. There's some old Negroes who bought some overpriced houses or things like that, but they're not functional millionaires. Now, let's go take us a trip over to Silicon Valley. Shucky ducky. Well, now when you start counting their wealth, you ain't talking about houses. All right, let's go ahead and move on over there to down there in California where the Asians are, whether it's San Mateo, doesn't matter. Where's their wealth? Where's the Asian wealth stored at? Is it tied up in their homes? Well, that can't be because the folks who came over here with H-1B visas had to have $500,000 in cash before they came here, or $1 million business to invest in before they came here. The Asians out there in Acadia out there in California, the richest Chinese people in America, and they had to come here with their money. So when you say the highest concentration of Asian millionaires, it means something different on balance than when you say highest concentration of black millionaires being in Atlanta. And I'm not saying that it's a quote. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that to degrade what they're doing or diminish what they're trying to do to the ones who are actually trying to do something. But having a bunch of old Negroes with overpriced houses, that's not a millionaire block. What kind of capital are they moving? What kind of capital are they moving? Because when I take a look at the economy of Atlanta, if you're going to talk about millionaires in Atlanta, who constitutes the majority of the economy in Atlanta? Now, when you ask that question, that puts your, quote, millionaires in proper perspective. We got the highest concentration of millionaires. Great. How much of Atlanta's economic real estate do they own? I'm asking the question.
you also got to take into
Okay,
account.
well, okay, no. I asked the question. Back on up now. I answered your question, sir. I'm asking the question again. Let me try a second time. Okay, highest concentration of millionaires in America, black millionaires in America. Okay, let's just go ahead and say we adopt that statement. Great, fine. How much of Atlanta's economy does this city of highest number of black millionaires, how much of Atlanta's economy do those black millionaires own?
Say a very significant amount.
Okay, very significant. Very significant is not a number. Very significant is not a number.
At least 30%.
Okay, I'm almost certain that wouldn't be quite correct either, sir. I'm almost certain.
Well, what about the middle class, though? You know what I'm saying?
The middle class of the middle class of the customers, sir. They are not the holders of wealth. They are not the holders of capital. And oh yeah, one more thing. The black so-called middle class in Atlanta is a completely separate animal from the non-white middle class in Atlanta. You cannot compare the average black middle class person in Atlanta to the average white middle class person in Atlanta. You can't compare those two because the average white middle class in Atlanta is trying to get the damn weight up because they see what's happening. The average black middle class in Atlanta is what you said, trying to buy a house in Buckhead. So their entire value and net worth is invested and focused on getting that house in Buckhead. That is not what their white counterparts are trying to do. Their white counterparts start up Airbnbs. The black folk are trying to buy a house. The white folk are trying to have a Airbnb. Totally different dynamic.
May I ask one last question?
You can.
What other city is doing, can you even say, is even comparable as far as black folks?
Well, I don't think we would name a specific city, not one of that kind of size. You can probably find something smaller, but probably not of that size. But once again, you got to ask the question, what are they doing, sir? Because if you can't quantify it, then what you're saying is a slogan. But once again, if you cannot tell us how much of the economy the black folk there own, it doesn't mean anything. The other thing is, even if I were to go with your metric of 30%, do you understand that that's still pathetically low? It's pitiful. Because what you're telling me is the other 70% of the economy, over 2/3, is owned by the other people. So in other words, you don't own enough to be able to even move anything. Some folks say PG. Some folks say PG County, Maryland. I mean, on a good day, you can count PG County, I suppose. But I would put PG County in the same area. I would put it in the same category because once again, I got to look at the economy of the place and take a look to see how much you own. Because black folk pride themselves on being, people with overpriced houses and overpriced cars in an economy, as opposed to how much of this do we own? So what I'm saying is in Atlanta, what you've seen so far is a promising start, but it is not something to brag on. It's not something to brag on. We ain't in brag territory. It's okay, that's cool and everything. More power to you. We want to see more of it. We got your back. But Atlanta we're not in bragging territory, brother. It's not. We don't have anything to applaud yet. When your black millionaires have to go in front of the city council and say, stop targeting our black businesses, they're letting you know how compromised their position actually is. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Yeah, folks, some folks with some overpriced houses, that doesn't constitute a millionaire class. People who are sitting on capital and have capital that they can deploy, that constitutes a millionaire class. Caller from area code 704, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 704 is busy watching Tiny Toons. Let me get caller from area code 651. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Mr. Jason Black. This is a Bill calling out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay, Bill out of Minneapolis. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say terrific broadcast tonight. And I wanted to just personally send a message to every person that is still believing in the Democrats. Don't listen to what they say. Follow what their actions are. And their actions is that they just are basically falling in line to what the Democrats want to say. And there are a lot of black people that want to follow what the Republicans want to say. And if you get caught up in that propaganda, you become pretty much a pawn in their Ponzi scheme. And the bottom line here is that there's a reason why many black voters did not vote for the previous election and probably will not vote again, because they're pretty much giving the same ridiculous talking points and not giving us what the real intangibles and what real issues are to really confront this. And until more and more people start waking up and realizing that both of these parties are not their friends, they're going to put you in the same position all over again. It's time for all of us to wake up and realize the situation at hand here. We are at war against the U.S. government because they're trying to suppress us, because we've been fighting this monster for centuries. No more talking. It's time to get down and dirty. And if we had to take people out of the way to try to get to the goal of getting reparations for all black Americans in this country, then so be it.
Okay, well, certainly you do want to make sure that you express your vote or your non-vote in that regard. So, folks, let's not do any Fed talk. You certainly want to exercise your legal rights. Well, we don't do Fed talk. Do I smell feds? I don't know. Caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Bobby calling from Chicago.
All right, Bobby from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yes, our problem with the Chicagoan about Barack Obama, we didn't vet him. We let Oprah push him on us. We did not vet him hard. Plus, I believe he was a plant, and he used his wife's status as a Chicagoan to get in on the political floor. Oprah is a colorist. She loves people of Barack complexion or lighter. So my problem is Chicagoan, we didn't bet Obama, and look what happened. B1, brother. Love you, broadcast.
B1, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. And I mean, certainly, look, Obama was brought to us by the machine. You had all the cable television networks, all the broadcast TV networks, the radio stations, the Democratic Party. So he was a product that was brought to us, packaged by Tom Daschle. Daschle admitted this. And that's what you have there. So, yeah, his wife was his beard, both politically, ethnically, and sexually. His wife was his beard and still is. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a matter of conjecture or guessing or feeling. It's just reality. Call from area code 313. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, old boy here is calling us from the moon. His satellite phone is giving out on him. Let's go ahead and get caller from area code 803. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Roy Livingston from Greensboro, North Carolina.
All right, Laura from Greensboro. What's on your mind?
Hello. All these buck dancers and buck kissers, and no one's talking about the real stuff, the economic stuff. They know that the reparations talk is not going anywhere and nowhere anytime soon. And I honestly believe that they have Barack out there more and more because they know that the pre-polls are out and Joe is falling behind more and more.
Okay, now when you talk about,
Honestly,
okay, now slow down, take a breath. When you talk about that reparations isn't going anywhere anytime soon, what are you referring to?
The talk and the demand for it. They want to just go to every other subject except giving us what we are owed. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, I mean, certainly is the previous generations have taught them that they could get away with that. That's what I meant to say to the previous caller. The previous generations taught the political parties that they could treat us any old kind of way, and all we wanted to have was recognition. If you'll take a photo op with us, that constituted political support for us. That was the thing that previous generations went for. As long as they would acknowledge our existence, put us in front of the cameras with them, if we could just make it there, if we could just get Bill Clinton on Arsenio. And that's what the previous generations fought for, was acknowledgement. Our generation isn't interested in acknowledgement. We're interested in action. And we want action on our terms, defined in our interests, not something that somebody else brought to us. So certainly they have a vested interest in avoiding that, because now every time they turn around, we keep talking about the same subject. And they're like, well, let's see if we can get around that. And it's having disastrous consequences because we're on code and we just won't let the issue go. Nor should we. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now let me get caller Miracle 704. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Bobby, Charlotte, North Carolina.
All right, Bobby out of Charlotte. What's on your mind?
Well, I think what we're witnessing is a sad truth. Black Americans continue to be at the very back of the line, the bottom of the pile of absolutely everything. In fact, these conditions will continue to remain in place as long as our supposedly leadership class of politicians, particularly the Democrats and entertainers, all of whom are personally rewarded with money, power, for the sole purpose of scamming the Black community into believing that we're making progress without tangibles. Meanwhile, if you could imagine, different people groups in America lining up to get resources or tangibles from our government, the first in line to eat is always white people, disguising themselves into the minority classes. Then you've got the LGBTQ community, at which I'm a member of. Also, the Asians, Hispanics, Indians, plus illegal immigrants, legal immigrants, even the Afghans and Ukrainians, all of whom leapfrog in front of Black Americans. I say no vote, no tangibles. If we don't get any tangibles, no vote. I'll land my plane.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Couldn't agree with you more. No tangibles, no vote. That's the bottom line. You want our vote. You want me to make the effort even getting out of bed. And you're going to have to, what are you bringing to the table? What are you offering? Did you come back offering any of the things that I advised you of before? Because the bottom line is, these are the things that we want. We want tangibles, and don't come back till you bring them. It's a couple of years later, I see you back, and it looks like you came empty-handed. You bringing me more intangibles. Not for it. Not going to go for it. Not going to get played for a sucker. It's not going to happen. You did that with the previous generation. Not going to happen here. Folks, like I say, people are talking crazy. They're pandering like crazy. They are worried. They're using blackness when convenient. They're hoping that we're not keeping score. The problem for them is we're keeping score. We're not relying on cable television to tell us what we think anymore. We are relying on ourselves. You got the new black media here to talk about this, and now the conversation's gone radically different. It's like, wow, 1 minute Marjorie Taylor Greene is attacking us, the next minute she's acknowledging racism without acknowledging it, and we're not going to fall for that either. The trick bag language, the code speak, the bait and switch language, we ain't going to fall for it. Not now, not ever. You're done. Get ready for a rough ride, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m. Gentrified Race War, all available on DVD and streaming. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you. Big shout out here to Mr. Battle. Thank you very much for your support, and to everyone here tonight. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.